Namaste. Welcome to Ragamala. We're here together to enjoy our Raga Parichaya series. In today's Raga Parichaya, we're meeting with Sri Dhananjay Hegde from Mumbai. He's been a long-time disciple of Pandit Vinayak Torvi. He's also received guidance from Pandit Venkatesh Kumar of Dharwad. He has a solid training in Kirana and Gwalior streams of gayaki. And today he's here with his ensemble to discuss the Rag Bihag through various bandishes in his repertoire. I suspect he also has some archival recordings up his sleeve. So he will guide us through a discussion through his lecture demonstration. Meanwhile, we will gather your questions on both Facebook Live and YouTube and come back to him for a live Q&A. That's the plan. So first we go to the Ragmala studio with Sri Dhananjay Hegde.
Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to Raga Parichaya series organized by Ragmala Seattle. In this series, I'll be presenting Rag Bihag. Bihag is a very well-known rag of Hindustani classical music and is a very old and traditional rag which is sung by all age groups, all levels of artists, learners, students, everyone. It's a Shringar Ras Pradhan rag where the romanticism plays the main part. The rag structure is done in such a way that it depicts more and more Shringar Ras. So because of the rag, the bandishes, more and more bandishes are in Shringar Ras, in Rag Bihag. This is a all Shuddha Swar rag with Tivra Madhyam being a Gupta note. Gupta means a hidden note, hidden swara, what we can call it as. It is not sung very prominently. But if you take the history of Rag Bihag, traditionally Rag Bihag had no Tivra Madhyam. It had a Aro and Auro like Sa Maga Pa Sa Maga Pa Pa Ni Sa Sa Ni Ra Pa Ga Ma Ga Re Sa. This was the traditional Bihag. But because of what you can say the evolution or the rag getting evolved with different musicians trying different things. So when the mean started from Pa to Ga, then the slowly Tivra Madhyam start creeping in. Pa, this mean when this started, the Tivra Madhyam started creeping in. Pa, Ga, Ma, Ga. So here if you see, the more you stretch from Pa to Ga, the more Tivra Madhyam will be visible. It has come into such a point now that many artists have started using Madhyam as a prominent Pa Ma Ga Ma Ga Pa Ma Pa Ga Ma Ga. Even though purists don't agree with this kind of usage in Rag Bihag, purists always say that the Madhyam has to be hidden and Gupta. Means it has to be used only as a Vaya note when you come from Pa to Gandhar, Pancham to Gandhar. As you know, Rag Bilawal Rag Bihag belongs to Bilawal Thaat, one of the 10 thats in Hindustani Sangeet Paddhati. And the Wadi, the most prominent note, what we call, is Gandhar. Samvadi is Nishad. And the Jati is Audav Sampurna, because it has all the 7 notes. But when we take the Aroha, we omit Re and Dha. So there are only 5 notes then. So that's why we call it as Audav while in the Aroha, and Sampurna in the Avaroha. The another important aspect of this rag is usage of Dha and Re. Both the notes, like Madhyam, are kind of a vaya note. Means to go from Ga to Sa, you are just passing that note. In general terminology, if you want to correlate that, is like a flyover. I mean, you are passing something below, but you are not exactly going to that place. You are just passing that place. So similarly, Ga Sa, even though I sang Ga Sa, there was Re while singing. So that much usage has to be there of Re and Dha. The best part is, even though these 2 notes are not prominent notes in Bihag, but they add a lot of beauty to Rag Bihag. Their presence may not be there very prominently, but without Re and Dha, Bihag will not be so good, or Bihag will not look so good. So these are the main points of Rag Bihag. Even though this belongs to Bilawal Thaat, Pandit Vinayak Rao Patwardhan had described this in Kalyan Thaat. He had a different way of thinking, so he had classified Bihag in Kalyan Thaat, which most of the artists and musicians don't agree. It is Bilawal Thaat Rag, because major angs of Bilawal comes in Bihag. Like this you will see when I am going to play a recording in future, in the later part of the this demonstration. In that you can see very prominently, even while I sing also, when I sing the classical, the Vilambit Bandish, you can clearly make out that I am using this phrase. This is Bilawal, one of the prominent Bilawal phrase. The another Bilawal phrase which is there in Bihag is Dhaga Samaga Padaga Padaga. This is a very prominent Bilawal phrase which we use in Bihag. Another phrase is Pamagaresa. We don't sing always Pamagamagaresa. We always, sometimes we sing Sanena Pamagaresa. This is a pure Bilawal, because Bilawal, as you know, has all the Shuddh Swars. So this is purely all Shuddh Swar, and we sing that, we use that Pa Pamagaresa Nida Pa Pamagaresa. So these are the prominent Bilawal phrases which come in Bihag. So it can be easily concluded that Bihag belongs to Bilawal Thaat and not to Kalyan Thaat. The other thing which I wanted to just touch upon is the Carnatic equivalent of Rag Bihag. Carnatic music has borrowed this rag from Hindustani. Some people say it's vice versa, but actually it is Carnatic music which has borrowed from our music. Why this is said is because the Trinity, the Holy Trinity of Carnatic music, they have not composed any kritis in this rag. So that's one of the main reasons they say that this rag is taken from Hindustani. The other thing in Carnatic music is Rag Bihag of Carnatic music has more and more lighter pieces rather than the main pieces. They don't present Rag Bihag as the main rag. But in Hindustani we present Rag Bihag as a main rag. So that's one of the differences. And the other difference what I have heard and have learnt is that sometimes in Rag Bihag of Carnatic music they use the Komal Nishad also. Like how we use in Kedar, the similar kind of usage is there in Carnatic music. Like their aroha goes like sa ga ma pa ni da ni sa sa ni da pa ga ma pa ma ga re sa is their actual aroha, but sa ni da pa ma ga re sa, this is also there in Carnatic Bihag. So these are the major differences between Carnatic Bihag and Hindustani Bihag. So with this much of introduction on Rag Bihag, I would like to start presenting different bandishes. And first I will begin with a very famous composition of Sadarang, Ustad Niyamat Khan Sahab. Kaise Sukha Sove Nindariya, which is a very traditional and very famous and commonly sung bandish. So I will choose that and I will start presenting the bandishes. Thank you. Ridana na कैसे सुख सोवे श्यामा मोरत चेत छड़ी कैसे सुख सो सुख सोवे नींदरिया श्याम मोर मूरत चित छड़िक से मूरत कैसे कैसे सुख सोवे सुख सोवे सुख सोवे नींदरिया 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 श्याम मोरता कैसे सुख सोवे श्याम श्याम मूरत चेत Shama Morada Kase Sukha So Shama Morada Murata Chita Chani Kase Swaga Kase Swaga Sove Nindari Nindariya Shama Murat Kase Sukha So Shama Shama Morada Shama Shama Morada Shama Morada Cheta Chadi Kaise Sukha So Shama Murat Murat Chita Chadiya Kaise Sukha Sobe Nindariya Kaise Sukha So Shama 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 Murata Chita Shama Murata Murata Chita Chadi Kaise Sukha Sobe Kaise Sukha So Pani Sama Ga Ga Ma Ga Pa Pa Ba Ga Ma Ga Sama Ga Pa Ga Ma Ga Pa Sama Ga Sa Ni Sa Pa 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 Da Ga Ga Ma Pa Ma Ga Sa Ga Sa Sukha So Shama श्याम मोरा तचित चढ़ हर कस श्याम मोरा तचित चढ़ हर कस स्वर्गाय सोवे निदरिया राम कस सुख सो श्यामा श्यामा मोरा चित चढ़ हर कैसे कैसे स्वर्ग हर सोवे निदरिया कैसे सुख कैसे सुख कैसे सुख सो श्यामा मोरा मोरा कैसे सुख सोबे कैसे सुख सोबे निदरिया श्याम मूरत कैसे सुख सो श्यामा श्यामा मोरा चित चढ़ कैसे सोखाए सोवे निदरिया कैसे सुख सो निदरी निदरी निदरिया निदरिया श्याम 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 मोरा कैसे सुख सो श्याम श्याम मोरा चित चेता चढ़ चेता चढ़ कैसे कैसे सुख सोवे निदरिया कैसे सुख सो सुख सोवे श्याम मूरत मूरत चित चनी सोच सोच सदा रंग सो सोच सदा रंग सोच 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 सदा रंग सोच सोच सदा रंग सोच सदा रंग सोच सोच सदा रंग गाठ पड़ी कैसे 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 सुख सो कैसे सुख सोवे निदरिया श्याम श्याम मूरद चित चरी कैसे सुख सोवे निदरिया कैसे सुख सोवे सुख सोवे सुख सोवे निदरिया श्याम मूरत चित चढ़ी कैसे सुख सोवे निदरिया श्याम मूरत चित कैसे सुख सोवे कैसे सुख सोवे कैसे सुख सोवे निदरि श्याम मूरतन कैसे सुख सोवे मग पने सा मग स Sani Pama Gama Gama Pani Samaga Pani Samaga Pama Gama Gapa Gama Pani Pa Gama Pasani Papani Pada Gama 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 Kaise Sukha So Saba Gama Pane Saba Gama Sani Maga Pama Gama Maga Pani Sani Gama Pasani Sani Daba Ni Daba Daba Gama Gama Gari Saga Se Sukha So So till now you heard a beautiful composition of a great composer of 18th century, Sadarang. His real name is Niyamat Khan. So as explained earlier, you can see it is so much romanticism is there in this rag, what we call as Shringar Ras. Even the Bandish says that. So, next I will present a Dhrit Bandish in Tal Teen Tal. It's a very rarely heard Bandish. So, the words go like Pili si kamana gayila, Udasi jiara bhayilare. The antra is like Ekato pili si gori, Dusre bairagana bhayilo. Murali bajaye sundara kanare. So this is a Dhrit bandish set to Tal Teen Tal. पेले से कामन गैला, 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 कामन गैला, कामन गैला, कामन गैला, कामन गैला, पीले से कामन गैला, पीले से कामन गैला, उदासी जियरा बैला रे, उदासी जियरा बैला रे, पीले से कामन गैला, पीले से, पीले से कामन गैला, पीले से, पीले से कामन गैला, गैला, पीले से कामन गैला, उदासी जियरा बैला रे, पीले से कामन गैला, एक तो पीली सी गोरी, एक तो पीली सी गोरी, दूसरे मेरा गन भैलो, दूसरे मेरा गन भैलो, मुरली बजाओ सुंदर काना रे, पीले से कामन गैला. If you observe here, the antara starts from a very unusual point. Normally it is the thali or the khali, but here it starts from the fifth matra. Ek to pili si gori, dusre mera gana bhaylo, murali bajao sundar kana re, pile से कामन गैला, पीले से पम गम पम गरे सा, पीले से गम बनि धनि धप धम प गम गरे सा, पीले से सनि धप नि धप ध गम गरे सा, पीले से कामन गैला, पीले से कामन गैला, कामन गैला, कामन गैला. Now, since the beginning we have been speaking about Shringar Ras, the bandish being, having more of romantic stories or romanticism in the rag as well as the bandishes. There are bandishes which have bhakti ras, means which are sung as a devotion to the god and goddesses. So here now I am going to present a Madhyalay Teental or Adha Teental bandish, which is about goddess Durga. So it's a very beautiful composition, and if you observe, the Vilambit and the Dhrit Kayal which I presented, both had the sum on Gandhar. So here if you see in this composition, the sum is on a different note. It is on the Nishad of the lower octave. So these are the subtle differences you can see in how the bandishkars have thought about it, processed it, and to bring the different flavor of the same rag. Durage Maharani, Durage Maharani, Durage Maharani, Devi Bhaktavatsala भयहरानी सुख करनी सकल जगत जननी दुर्गे महारानी दुर्गे लेकर खड्ग त्रिशूल सारंगा, लेकर खड्ग त्रिशूल सारंगा, सरस सजन भव भंजन मनरंजन नित ओठ आनंद किशोर पर दयाल दुख हरने दुर्गे महारानी दुर्गे 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 If you observe in this bandish, the mukhda starts from ne, sa, re, sa, ne. If you see the theoretical aspect, we go sa to ga. We don't use re during the aroha, or we don't use the re, as I had told you earlier, that re is gupt, or you can call it as a vaya note. It is not very prominent note in Rag Bihag. But in this composition, the composer has thought that ne sa re sa ne pa, means that kind of thought process has gone to compose this bandish. It's a very different bandish which has kind of devotional aspect in this. There are many bandishes you must have heard in Bihag has, lot variety, like Bala Mare More Manaki, which is very famous, and there is Langaradhi Tamaga Magaro Katabara. So that is also there, and Sabha Sakiya Chalo Prabhu Ke Darshana. Again, Sabha Sakiya Chalo Prabhu Ke Darshana is a more of a devotional rather than kind of romantic or Shringar Ras. Now let me play one composition sung by the legendary musician Pandit K.G. Gindeji. If you observe in this composition, he has sung a piece or has used one piece where you will find that it is a bit different from normal Bihag what you listen. So I will play that piece for you so you can see and you can observe, because these are all genius masters. When I am playing this composition, they're all genius. K.G. Gindeji is a genius artist. So how he has done some subtle changes in the bandish, in the rag. So I will play that for your you all, so that you will understand how genius artists work sometime.
पंजनिया चमके दिन दादा दिन हाँ पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागे पंजनिया चमके पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागे पंजनिया चमके पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागे पंजनिया पंजनिया चमके पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागे पंजनिया चमके पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागी पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागी पंजनिया पंजनिया चमके पंजनिया चमके पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागी पंजनिया चमकन लागी गाऊं तुमरे पास तुआ पंजनिया चमके चमकन लागी पंजनिया चमके गमा बने गमा गा पंजनिया चमके गने गमा गा पंजनिया गमा बने नी पापा गमा गा गमा गा गमा 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 गा गमा पंजनिया चमकन लागे गाऊं तुमरे पास तुआ पंजनिया चमके.
If you see here, he has used Padamarega, which I have told in the earlier when I was talking about the rags theoretical aspect, that is the main Bilavalang. Padamarega. So he has also used that. If you observe.
याद करेंगे सब अगर बगर के 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 याद करेंगे सब याद करेंगे सब अगर बगर के याद करेंगे सब अगर बगर करेंगे सब अगर बगर के करेंगे सब अगर बगर के कौन वो पाव करे पंजन बोले ना पंजनिया.
So I wanted to show the how he has used a little bit of tinge of Komal Nishad. No, that was actually he was this whatever clip is there, but he's showing that how Bihag becomes Bihagda when the change happens. So that was the reason he has used like that in this. This is what I have heard from the people who had attended this workshop or his students. So now after this bandish, I will sing a tarana, in Rag Bihag. Tadare dani tanonta, tadare dani tanonta, tadare dani tanonta, tadare dani tanonta, tadare dani tadare tadare dani nani tanonta, tadare dani tanonta, tadare dani tadare tadare dani nani tanonta, di tadare dani tare dani di tadare di tadare dani tare dani di tadare dani tare dani tadare tadare dani nani tanonta, tadare dani tanonta, tadare dani tadare tadare dani nani tanonta, tanonta, tanonta. So if you, in this bandish also, tarana also, so nicely they have used both the madhyam and they have used it differently. Pamaga, 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 both the usage, how we do it when we develop the rag. So that aspect has been incorporated in this tarana. Now I will play one more tarana of legendary musician Veena Sahasrabuddheji. It is set to Tal Ada Chautal, and then it's her own composition. She was a brilliant composer, especially in Ada Chautal. She had many compositions. So I will play one of her taranas. If you observe in this tarana, it has both tarana words as well as the sargam. Both she has combined. And if you see the patterns, samaga, gapama, madhapa, which is quite normally we don't sing samaga, gapama, madhapa. This we normally don't sing while normal when we develop the rag. But that composition, she has incorporated that aspect so nicely. It brings a different flavor of Rag Bihag. So if you observe the greatness of these composers, these artists, how they have the same, even in the Asthaya also in this Tarana, Re Sani Sani Dha Ni Dha Pa. Sani Dha is normally we don't do Nyas on Dha, but she has taken it as a, but it doesn't destroy the beauty of the rag or disturb the beauty of the rag. It is so well, you can say it is so well knit actually, the entire bandish. So, I mean, such are the great composers. Now, I would like to speak about Rag Bihag in semi-classical music forms like Thumri and Tappa. Even though Bihag is generally considered as a Khayal Rag, we hear very less of Thumri in Thumri and other forms in Rag Bihag. But one very famous Bandish ki Thumri is there, which I will try to sing for you now. It says, देखो सखी कन्हैया रोके ठाडो है गेली, पनिया भरन कैसे जाऊँ मोरी आली, अंतरा हूँ जल जमुना भरन जात रही, बीच में मिल गए नंद की छोरा. So this is a very beautiful composition. It's a Bandish ki Thumri. It's not a Bol Banao Thumri. So as you know, most of you might know that in Bandish ki Thumri we normally generally keep the rag as the same. We don't mix any rag. In Bol Banao Thumri we mix other rags also. So Bandish ki Thumri has the same rag, but we take certain liberties, not sticking to the rags, the rules and regulations or the rags format. But we don't mix any other rag in Bandish ki Thumri. This is a generally followed pattern which I am telling. देखो सखी कन्हैया रोके ठाडो है गेली, 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 पनिया भरन कैसे जावो मोरे आरे, पनिया भरन कैसे मोरे आरे, देखो सखी कन्हैया रोके ठाडो है गेली, देखो सखी कन्हैया रोके ठाडो है गेली. देखो सखी, अरे देखो सके कन्हैया रोके ठाडो, अरे रोके ठाडो देखो सके कन्हैया देखो सके कन्हैयारो के ठाडो गरे देखो सके कन्हैया रो के ठाडो गरे जल जमुना भरन जाता रही जल जमुना भरन जाता रही जल जमुना जल जमुना बीच में मिल गए नंद के छोरा बीच में मिल गए नंद के छोरा देखो सके कन्हैया रो के ठाड़ो ने गले देखो सके देखो सके देखो सके So now you heard the Bandish ki Thumri. I will play because I have not trained in Tappa Gayaki, but I have a recording of the great Srimati Malini Rajurkar ji, who is known for her Tappa singing. So I will not be able to sing it personally because I am not trained to sing a Tappa style. So I am going to play that for you. It's actually a Tap Khayal. It's Tappa and Khayal mix, but it's a variety of Tappa only. So I will play Tap Khayal of Rag Bihag, sung by Srimati Malini Rajurkar ji. So with this, I would like to conclude this Raga Parichaya series on Rag Bihag. I would like to thank my accompanists today, Shri Sumit Nayak and Shri Madhusudan Bhatt and Shri Amok Khatti. I would also like to thank Ragmala Seattle for giving me an opportunity to present this Rag Bihag for their Raga Parichaya series, which is Really, as a student of music, I feel it's a great series because many of the technical aspects you may not get in the books, but it has to be, spoken. Uh, so that's why it's a great series. I wish them all the best, and thank you very much for attending today's lecture cum demonstration on Rag Bihag. Thank you very much.
That was a wonderful lecture demonstration on Rag Bihag by Sri Dhananjay Hegde, who we are lucky to have with us live for a Q&A session in the Ragmala studios.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Dhananjay ji.
Thank you so much, Rivani ji, for having me and given me an opportunity to explore the Rag Bihag in different ways and explain it to in whatever little knowledge I have to the audience here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, either your explanation was so wonderful, or people are out playing Holi in the United States. We don't have a whole bunch of questions live today, but I had received questions from students prior, and a few that were in a student group as well. And I'll go ahead and be the representative of all those questions. But
Yeah.
first, I know you and I have um shared some of the same venues. Sometimes we've met in person, and I wanted to congratulate you personally on your growth as a musician. I've seen
Thank you.
and
Thank
heard
you.
you for a while. So,
Yes. Thank you.
Abhinandanagalu. Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dhanyavadagalu.
So let me ask friend to friend, what was there any learning experience for you as you prepared to put Raga Parichaya together for us? How did you go into the rag? How did you organize your thoughts?
Uh, to be frank with you, I had explored the Rag well in detail because of our talim, the way we have received talim from our gurus, especially my guru Pandit Vinayak Torvi ji, with whom I'm still, I continue to be his student since 1989, and it's almost 33 years now. Uh, so when a guru shows the way that how to explore the rag, so uh, this the rag becomes a structure. The rag becomes uh, a living being. So when we see a living being, we start analyzing. Anyway, it's a human nature. When we see someone, so or when we see any creature, so for me, rag becomes a living being. And when we start, when I started thinking about when you called me up and you said that you have to if you whether you are interested in doing this, then I said definitely, certainly, because as I said in the lectum also, that there are so many things in rag, though that there are so many things hidden in the rag which are not in the books. It has to be. That is why we call this as a guru mukhena vidya. You can't learn it through YouTube. You can't learn it through reading books.
Notation. Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So when I started preparing for this Raga Parichaya series, uh, Bihag was one rag which always fascinated me. So that's why I chose this rag. And I asked you why, what all ragas have already been done in this series. And Bihag is one rag which has always fascinated me because of the structure, the changes in the structure of that rag uh, that has happened since the inception of that rag. Uh, then, uh, as per the classical part was there, I had quite a good repertoire of the bandishes and the rag. Also, I had heard many people. I had got good talim of rag bihag. But the Carnatic aspect,
Hmm.
because I was not very much aware of it. Uh, Even the I knew that there were few Bandishki Thumris in Bihag, but I was not aware whether there was Tappa or not. So I had a few friends who are very good, music students who are really, studying a lot about music, like Shri Bhavik Mankad, who's a disciple of Ojesh Pratap Singh ji from Delhi. He is a very, very young guy, but a very, very brilliant guy. So I asked him whether he can, help me with some recordings or something, because I'm not trained in tappa. It's to be honest with you, we are, because tappa is a completely a different genre, and it's a very difficult genre also. So he helped me with that tap khayal of Malini Tai. Then Carnatic music, I have a very good friend called Chandan Bala, who's my college. She is my friend since my college days. So I discussed with her many things, for many times. I talked to her. She sent me few compositions also. So this is how, the preparation went on, and I should really thank you for that, because it made me to understand how Carnatic Bihag works, and how there is no tappa. I mean, whomever I had spoken to, they said that tappa is they have not heard any tappa in Bihar. The one which I presented is a tap khayal, which is a combination of tappa and khayal. So this
Hmm.
is how I prepared for my Rag Parichaya series on Rag Bihag.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I have to tell you that the very first Bol Banao Thumri I was taught was in Bihag.
Oh, lovely.
Usually Khamaj or Kafi, but
Yes.
Humse Najariya Kahe Pheri Re Balma.
Wow.
Uh, that was the first Thumri I was taught. And
Yeah.
also the first Lalgudi Tillana that I learnt, which is
Huh.
now made famous by Bombay Jayashree ji as well, is also in Carnatic Bihag,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
find comes almost closer to our Bihagda. Uh,
Yes. Correct.
which brings me to another question. A student asked, they learn Bihag, they feel okay, we have heard it enough, we have a good grasp of it, we're singing Vilambit, Drut, everything. Then we learn Bihagda, or we learn Nand, or we learn something, and then we completely uh, lose, not completely, but we get a little lost with Bihag. How do you, is there some pakad that you bring to mind, or you come back to the chalan of Bihag? How do you relearn and keep a rag in the grasp?
Yeah. With reference to the three rags which you mentioned, Bihag, Bihagada, and Nand, there are some of the musicians, they say that एक पकड़ में आपको राग का पता होना चाहिए. In
Ji.
one pakad
Uh,
the rag gets changed. For example, just to demonstrate here, I hope my tanpura is audible.
yes.
Yes. Okay. Like in Bihag, sa ma ga pa pa ga ma ga. So this mean
Hmm.
pa to ga. The same thing in Bihagda, ga ma pa ma pa ga. There is no mean here.
Right.
It's a straight ga ma pa ma pa ga.
Savni
Only
also.
in only here only I can show you all the three ragas. Gama pare sa. It
ये बात
becomes none.
नंद
So
हाँ
within this gama pa sa to pa, you can make out the three ragas difference. And of
correct
course we have in Bihagada, gama pada pada nira pada gama pa ma pa ga sa.
hmm.
So even ga sa, this is in Bihag. Ga sa, that kind of faster movement
हाँ
is observed in Bihagada. So when a rag is learnt, obviously when you go to at least in this combination we have notes which differentiate. Like in Bihagada there is a Komal Nishad, and Nand being belongs to Kalyan That, it doesn't belong to Bilawal Thaat. So,
Hmm.
those certain differences are there. But to make it easy, as I told you, that within this sa to pa only we can make the difference. Pa ga ma ga
Yeah,
ma pa ma pa ga ma pa re sa ga. So
huh.
within three, you can in uh, phrase you can make the difference of all the three ragas.
Well said, well said. Um, I have a feeling, I could be right or wrong, that over time, the Bilavalness of Bihag is taking slowly a backseat, and the Kalyanness of Bihag, Madhamapa Gamaga, uh, instead of Gamapadhaga. These kind
Correct.
of things you hear much more. In general, the Tivrama, even in Yaman, the Tivrama usage in terms of Abhyas Bahutva, comes more and more and more often. Have you
Correct.
or your guru or guru bhais, guru bahans discussed why this happens? Is it a trend?
Because what happens is, there is a thinking that when you have all the Shuddha Swaras, it becomes kind of mundane thing. Like, it becomes bit boring. There's certain thought process in many of, students or the musicians. So the Tivr Madhyam is so strong. Uh, the Tivr Madhyam, the attraction is so strong, because being a Tivra Swar, the only one Tivra Swar in our music. This I have heard from many people, as you said, as you very rightly said, the usage of Tivra Madhyam has gone to certain extent. Even I'm too young or too small to say this, but unfortunately, even I have heard very big names singing pa ni da pa da pa ma pa ga ma ga. There is actually what we have learned, what talim we have got, or what we have read in the books. There is no Tivr Madhyam like that. But maybe because to because this belongs to a Shangar Ras Rag, just to make it more ornamented, or kind of
Hmm.
thing. But I would, as a personal experience or whatever talim I have received, I am of the strong belief that Tivra Madhyam is just a via note. It's, you cannot, as I said, it's a flyover. So it's just that you are going from ga, pa to ga via Madhyam.
Hmm.
That's all.
Hmm.
So it should be kept in that way.
Agreed, agreed. Sometimes I also feel that when a raga enjoys so much popularity, it's in abhang and bhajan and film songs and light classical music and semi-classical music, it gets explored differently in these different genres. And sometimes people like phrases in there.
Yes.
Madamapadamaga.
Yeah.
Everything comes
Yes.
into khayal, but I think the khayaliya needs to be mindful. Like you, I also feel मैं छोटा कलाकार हूँ, but in my thought I feel that a ख्यालिया has to take the responsibility of keeping the rag kosher in the khyal form. When you go
Yes.
to a different genre, you do what the genre demands, or in a tumri, what the emotions demand. You can go from Bihag to Bihagda to Nand to something else and
Correct.
come back. That is okay. But the rag itself has to stay kosher to the
Yeah.
bandh you are singing.
Yeah. Now, as you must have heard in my leg demo only, when I sang the Bandish Ki Tumri, I sang a piece like de ko
Right,
saki. See, that
right.
I didn't sing when I sang Kaise Sukha Sove.
Hmm.
So as you said, the Khayaliya has to keep you know, he has to be careful when he sings whatever he sings. Like Dekho sakhe kanaya roke ta dore. This I never sang when I sang the Khayal. So Re is not that much prominence. It has no prominence in not that much prominence in Rag
Hmm.
Bihag. So as you very rightly said, Khayaliya has to keep all these things in mind.
Correct. Including your Tarana was also a good example. The one you
Yeah.
sang before Veena Tai's Tarana. It
Yes.
has
Yes.
Maga, Maga, Shuddha
Yes. Both.
Maga, Tivra Maga. Kyunki
Yes.
Tarana is telling you to do that. You can obviously
Correct.
use it in the Upaj or in a
Correct.
rhythmic way, but that doesn't mean that Bihag changes in order to accommodate
Yes,
That
yes. This Tarana and the PLC Kamanagaila both were taught to us by Pandit, the great Pandit Yashwant Bua Joshi ji.
wow, wow, wow.
We had a workshop for 7 days in '96 in
Uh-huh.
Bangalore. So we were fortunate. My Guruji had organized it. So he gave us like so many bandishes. Even the bandish ki tumri he only taught us.
I
So
see. I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
So, one question here from a young person is that do they sing Dhrupad in Bihag? Is this an ancient raga? You seem to say that it definitely uh, predates its passage to Carnatic music. So, did we have it in Dhrupads? Are there Dhrupad in Bihag? Is the question, I think.
I think yes, Drupad. There are bandishes in Rag Bihag. Just because I said it predates Carnatic music, just because in Carnatic music the Holy Trinity is the final authority. Kind of
Word.
final word. So they
Huh.
have not composed a single composition. None of them
Huh.
have composed. It seems they have not composed any compositions in Rag Bihag. So
Hmm.
that's why uh, it is said that it predates Carnatic music. But definitely there are Drupadiya singers I have heard singing Bihag. It is there.
Definitely. Hmm.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay, I'm doing one last scan for any questions out there. Does Bihag feature in any Jod ragas? Because the ang is so strong, Bihag ang. Have you heard it? For example, we hear of Rageshri Bahar, but do we hear of Rageshri Bihag?
Yeah.
Or
Uh,
just an example.
yeah. No, I know because Bihag is as you said, the ragang of Bihag is so strong. Uh, I have heard people like Ramashri Jhaji, telling that the ragang is so strong in this rag,
Hmm.
the Bihag itself. It has no mixture of any ragas in rag Bihag. Bihag has no features of other ragas creeping in. Bihag ragang itself is very strong. I mean, Bihag, like, Pat Bihag, Nat Bihag,
Bihag. Hmm.
these such kind of the offshoots are there.
Hmm.
But Bihag itself is so strong that you don't need another rag to, beautify
Hmm.
this rag or beautify the
Hmm.
aspects of rag Bihag. This is what I feel personally.
Right, right. So Bihag variants are there, like Nat Bihag, Pat
Yeah,
Bihag, and
yeah,
others,
yeah.
but not so much Bihag jod with something else is the
Yes,
answer.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Very true, very true.
Is there anything else that you feel that you didn't get to cover in the session or that I didn't get to discuss? You're welcome to talk to us about it.
No, it's actually I have tried to cover because since you had given me a good amount of time to think about this presentation, uh, I covered the most of the aspect. Uh, as I said, thinking about a rag should have, when we say that it comes from so and so thought, the thought ang has to be there. The thought, whatever the thought says. So, like in Bihag, as we discussed when I did in the lecture come demonstration also. So most of the things I feel whatever little I have knowledge, because there are many musicians who might watch this in future, who are watching it right now also. They might have different take, or maybe additional information to whatever I
True,
have said.
true.
So it's always uh, it's an incomplete subject. Like you go on studying and still you get uh, different, uh, like whatever I have shown. That is why I chose very little, the little number of bandishes. I didn't do too many bandishes, and I thought that I should show the different thought processes of different
True.
musicians, like this Veena Thais bandish. Padama ma paga. In that tarana, it is there.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we normally don't sing when we don't give a nyas, do a nyas on madhyam,
Which
tivra
she
madhyam.
herself wouldn't do in a Vilambit Khyal. But
Definitely.
she thought of something Anwat, something different roop for
Yes.
Bihag in her Tarana.
uh,
And it is the
yes.
appropriate place to do it also.
Yes, yes. And
So
she has done it so beautifully. She has done
beautifully.
it so beautifully. It has, merged into Rag Bihag's soul. Uh, it's very, very well done. I mean, that's why they are all called, greats of our music. The thought
We are
process that they have put in.
we are absolutely fortunate to have those big footsteps to walk behind of all the archival recordings you played, Gindeji,
Yeah.
Malini Tai, Veena Tai. Uh, I think it was a very well organized flow of the segment. I congratulate you again for your
Thank you
research
so much.
and putting it together. I hope it
Thank you.
was fun for you as much
Oh,
as it
definitely.
was for us.
Oh,
I
certainly.
know.
Certainly.
So we have Vidushi Gauri Pathare presenting Rag Parichaya next month. We'll have the dates and her choice of raga up on our website and Facebook page very shortly. We're also slowly making our way back to hybrid or some part in person programming, and we're very excited about that. To have to go and find venues and audio engineer and set up a betiki so we can hear people in person and share the same space, living and breathing with the musician. So a lot of exciting work coming up for Ragmala for the team. um, I continue to acknowledge with gratitude all the great work the team does in the back on a completely volunteer basis to make such programs and pretty much everything else we offer online is offered free of ticket cost for our members and musicians and students worldwide. So we thank our patrons and the grants we received for that. So keep your eyes peeled and ears tuned for our summer festival Tarana that's coming up in June, and next month's Rag Parichay. We also have a major fundraiser coming up in May. You'll hear more about that and some easy ways to support us. It's called Give Big. So that said, that's kind of a view of what we're looking at in the next coming months. You all enjoy your Holi and spring break, and Abhinandan again to Dhananjay Hegde ji and
Thank
Sri
you.
Madhu Bhatt
Thank you.
and Sri Sumit Naik, my favorite Sat as well. And all the best to you on your music journey,
Thank
Dhananjay.
you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaskar.